Hey everybody, Matter here, and welcome to part 17 of my House in Fata Morgana Let's Play. Last episode delved more into the tragic backstory of Michel. After, realizing who he truly is, his body seemed to respond accordingly. He had like the physique and the voice of a man, and realized like this is who I truly am. So came out to his family like this is who I am, and of course they did not respond well. Um, it led to Michel being locked up in his room, tortured by Amy, much more of a nasty person than I was expecting, and eventually led to his father, deeming him as, like an abomination that needs to be executed. But thankfully his brothers did see the light and managed to get Michel out. And this is where we end up now, with Michel being brought to the mansion. So now we are going to see, I guess, Michel's like introduction to the mansion, his life. What was it, 10 years that he was at the mansion for? So we get to see that before Giselle comes into his life. So I'm really interested to see the continuation of the story, of the backstory of Michel. So let's get back into it. I couldn't remember how long it had been since the capital had disappeared into the distance, but I'd been on the road for some time now. I'd long since left paved roads behind. The carriage rocked back and forth as it proceeded down the rough dirt path. For hours I stared through the windows as unfamiliar scenery flowed past. Eventually, a fog settled over the area, making it difficult to discern night from day. We made our way through dark, dense woods, and beyond them, like the world fading into view after a dream, a mansion appeared before us. All the windows were either shuttered or boarded, encasing the house in darkness. In a way, it felt like all I had done was move from one prison to a much larger one. Briefly, I thought they had possibly been sealed to keep anyone from seeing me inside, and my coming here was a very recent development. More likely than the house had been in this condition when it was initially purchased. Quite the piece of property my father had found himself with. I wondered if he had been swindled by its previous owner. It was a gloomy, uninviting place, but it didn't appear to be in disrepair. The coachman left my luggage outside the door, gave me an empty farewell, then went on his way. I was entirely alone. I spent some time just staring out at the forest, but naturally there was nothing of interest to be found there. So I quietly turned around and opened the door to the mansion. It's certainly dark. I could barely even see my own feet. Briefly, I considered trying to unshutter a window or two, but ended up deciding against it. The less inviting the place looked, the easier it would be for me to avoid contact with the outside world, as Didier had recommended. Standing there in the darkness for several minutes, my eyes gradually grew accustomed to the lack of light. While it was hardly ideal, it was sufficient to take a look around the house. The inside didn't seem to have received the same level of care as the outside. Everything was dusty, and the air was many years stale. But I wasn't in a cleaning mood, so I dug through my luggage for a bundle of candles, lighting one with a flint. A stained glass window? Examining the large room I found myself in, I came across a stained glass window depicting an angel. The archangel, after whom I had been named, looked solemnly down upon me. Quite the joke. 2 columns of evenly spaced pews ran the length of the room, all facing the multicolored window. I set the candlestick on a podium of some sort, which is when I realized this is a chapel. A flat length of silver bent in the middle was mounted to the pulpit's face. When I saw it, I knew exactly what it used to be: a cross. The pews weren't facing the stained glass, but the cross. Why, though? It felt as though the mansion had been built up around the chapel, rather than the opposite. I was perplexed as to why anybody would do that. But of course, there was no one around to state my curiosity. Taking the candlestick back in hand, I made my way beyond the pulpit. There sat a small metal door. I pressed one hand against the cool surface and my heart leapt. It was abnormally cold. Though the door itself seemed perfectly normal, an inexplicable anxiety spread through me. So, that's the thing about this mansion. So, it seems to mirror kind of like the whole thing about, like, the tower, where Morgana was locked up in. That's where she ended up dying, which is probably why it's cold there. It's like the coldness from, you know, her death or whatever representing it. But, like, how did Morgana ends up in the mansion? That's my thing. It's like this mansion seems to have, like, crossed timelines and, I'm trying to think of, like, where she ended up. Was it in the same place where, you know, this mansion is now in time, like, somewhere in Europe? That's a little confusing. That's the confusing thing about me, is, like, the mansion seems to appear in, like, random places throughout the world in different times. It was a very unusual sensation. My instincts told me I should stay far, far away. My heart told me it was my duty to see what lay beyond. What am I going to find back there? After a few moments' hesitation, I decided to act in opposition to my instincts. Like, I'm assuming this is where Morgana ended up dying, and that's why she's, like, stuck. She's attached to this mansion. Because they did say that there was, like, a witch. There was the whole thing about, like, a witch lives in this mansion. This is why, like, the father wasn't able to sell it or do anything with it. I was looking at a long spiral staircase. The wooden stairs stretched so high, I couldn't tell where they ended. An observation tower, perhaps. As if being pushed forward by some inhuman force, I mounted the staircase. By the third or fourth loop, soft light began peeking into the tower, through regularly spaced rectangular openings in the stone walls. Through one such window, I gazed outside, and far off in the distance, beyond the seemingly endless ocean of trees, I saw a small village. Nowhere I'm ever going to go. So many stairs. It had been quite some time since I had exerted myself this much. I hardly had any opportunity locked away in my chambers. With every step I took, I could hear my joints creaking and my muscles screaming. I was long since out of breath, only staying upright with the help of the wall. Ah, this is pitiful. Damn it. But turning back never occurred to me. I had to keep climbing, had to make it to the top. And it was that feeling of necessity that pushed my exhausted body upward. That's me climbing stairs, and I don't even have the excuse of being trapped in a room for, you know, for at least however long, 6 months or whatever he was trapped in there for. By the time I reached the top, I was practically gasping for air. Or was it years? I can't remember. Was it 2 years? It might have been 2 years, I think. Sweat streamed down my forehead. I wiped it aside, turning my gaze toward yet another door. But unlike the first, what on earth? A tangle of rope covered the surface, layers upon layers of it, making its intent abundantly clear. Nothing shall come in or out. It didn't look like it had been put there recently either, as much of it was rotted through. Out of curiosity, I grabbed at the coil and yanked. The rope snapped in several places, chunks falling limply to the floor. It wasn't enough to allow the door to open, though. People only sealed doors like this for a reason, largely because they didn't want, or couldn't allow, others to see what hid behind them. Like what they did to me. This is where, like, I'm sure Morgana and Michel might feel like they're a little bit of, like, kindred souls a bit. For a few moments, I felt as though I was looking down at myself from outside my body. If it hadn't been this man, but someone else standing there, would they have turned back the sight of the sealed-off door, acting as though nothing was there? Or would they have done as I did? I ground my teeth, a mix of annoyance and bitterness rushing through me, but I did not hesitate. I held the flame of the candle up to the wall of rope, careful not to set the whole thing ablaze, slowly, carefully burning through them one by one. It was repetitive and time-consuming, but I persisted, wiping away sheets of sweat before it streamed into my eyes. The sun was well on its way down before I managed to finally expose the door. I took a deep breath, looked upon it, and gulped. There was something indescribably chilling about the door, and then I pushed it open. A barely noticeable breeze brushed past me. A single ray of sunlight shone into the room, coming from a single window sitting high atop the wall. It cast a milky white patch of light on the hard floor, revealing the fact I was not alone. The rumors say a witch lives in the mansion. There I saw, in this cursed house, a skeleton with only one arm. A cursed mansion for a cursed man. It was like I was destined to end up here. I had no way of finding out who the skeleton belonged to, so I left it there at the top of the tower and retreated into thought. I wondered to myself, how had the one-armed person died? How had they felt locked in that room, staring up at that sole window so far out of reach? About the only thing they would ever have seen was the sky and occasional bird. Had they yearned for more light, or had they come to despise the tiny patch of it that trickled into the room? Had they been some sort of wicked criminal, imprisoned for wrongdoing? Not all prisoners are necessarily bad people. Having been branded with a non-existent curse, I couldn't help but think that perhaps something similar had happened to whoever they were. Vainly reaching out for the sun, constantly praying for rescue that would never come. What had gone through their mind as they withered away? Would anyone ever come for me? Would my brothers keep their word? Or would I, years from now, end up another pile of dry bones somewhere in this house, unwanted and alone, robbed of all hope, with no one but the darkness to talk to as it sunk into teeth deeper and deeper into me? I want to know the aftermath after those knights killed Michel and they took his body away. What did they do with him? I want to know who sent those knights to kill him. I have a feeling who, but I want confirmation. That corpse could be me in the future. Di, dear, Georges, did you really send me here to keep me hidden? Or is this to be my grave? Can I put my faith in you? Can I trust you when you say I'll be able to return? That everyone will happily accept me? It's so sad knowing, like, his fate. That we'll all be together again? That we'll play chess? That we'll draw pictures? That nobody will be left out? All I really wanted was for people to accept me for who I was. To accept that I was a man. No, that I'd grown to resemble a man. That I had the heart of a man. I didn't need anything else. I didn't want to cause anyone anguish. I didn't want to hate anyone. I simply wished to be who I was. No, who I wanted to be. And I didn't want to be treated like I was strange or different. That was asking too much. Then, at the very least, I wanted to have one person in my life who truly understood me. And just like knowing how the one person that he did have, his, which was Giselle, to turn on him and call him disgusting or whatever it was that she said, it was just like, it felt like such a slap in the face. Di, dear, Georges, I pray that you can be that for me. Lurking quietly in the mansion's all-encompassing darkness, I waited and hoped that that day might arrive, when I could come out of hiding. However, 1, 2, 3 years later, I had still not been set free. Only my mother wrote me, and in all her letters, she said the same thing. When your curse is broken, come back home, sweetheart. When your curse is broken, I want you back in my life. When your curse is broken, everything will be back to normal. I wait expectantly for the day you are free of that terrible curse. The curse would never be broken, though. What I was now was what I was meant to be. All that time I had spent as a girl, none of that was real. Didier had said he didn't think I was cursed. My brothers didn't think I was some hellish demon child. So no, the curse would never be broken, because there was no curse to break. I wasn't cursed at all. There was no damned curse. But the flow of time eroded away at me, slowly killing any confidence I had once had, sucking me dry of all trust for others and myself. With enough time, I started questioning my own beliefs about what I was. Started thinking that perhaps I was cursed. Much like they had at the Bullinger estate, the servant who came by every month did his best to avoid making eye contact. But beyond just bringing me food, he was also checking in on me, making sure I didn't attempt to run away. And every month he probably went back and told Mother the same thing, that my curse had still not been broken. Do you have the answers I seek, O Father in heaven? If you do, I ask of you to guide me. To please tell me what I am. I truly am cursed, and perhaps you could tell me how much my soul weighs, too. Probably not very much. I spent enough time alone in that dark mansion to drive anyone mad. The more time that passed, the more I grew to question myself, my worth as a human being. And whenever the self-doubt and self-loathing became too much to take, I trekked up to the top of the observation tower to see the light. Sitting there on the hard floor, I would place my hand on the skeleton's leg, its shoulder, its hand, on the size of the bones, whoever it appeared to have been still young when their life withered away. Poor child. Even I feel blessed compared to you. Oh, how miserable it must have been, locked away in this tower, to have your arm mercilessly severed. You have my pity, though. I alone shall mourn your death, and I alone shall take comfort in your presence. You poor, poor child. By pretending to pity someone who had had it worse than me, I was able to feel somewhat better about myself. Because if I was in a position to pity someone else, then conversely I wasn't in a position to be pitied. Vainly, foolishly trying to convince myself of a lie, I spent hours, days alone in that tower holding the dry bones in my arms. Now there was a sight to lend credence to my alleged madness. He said that he was, basically pretending. Putting on the airs of, pitying. But I feel like he did, honestly. Maybe it was for his own self-satisfaction or, to make himself feel better. But it does seem like he honestly does feel bad for Morgana. And maybe that's where maybe Morgana gets possessive over, Michel. I know Morgana wants revenge on those who, wronged her. But maybe when Giselle came along, she felt like the one person that she had was being taken away. Over time, the air in the mansion seemed to thicken as if the fog were condensing. Water pushed out all the air, swallowing me up, suffocating me. A putrid mire. I was trapped at the bottom of this thick, black sludge. Soon I lost the track of the passage of time, my only landmarks being the dates on Mother's letters. Before I knew it, 8 years had passed. What the hell is this? I hadn't heard my own voice in so long I'd almost forgotten what it sounded like. There was a delivery that day, but it wasn't the usual package. The servant was instead carrying a large rectangular object draped in cloth. Shoving that into my hands, he said, "The regular supplies will be here in a couple of days," and then ran off. Presumably, he was afraid to spend any more time than necessary with a cursed man, but I didn't bother to say anything about it. I knew it was a waste of breath, and I was not inclined to hold it against him if he didn't want to look me in the eye, to exchange words. All I could reasonably do was sit back and bear it. As long as I kept my mouth shut, the man could do his job in peace. By the candlelight, I began unwrapping the package the servant had delivered. From within, a sheet of parchment fell to the floor, and inside the package was a painting. Oh, that's gotta be the picture of Michel when he was Michel. And he tore it apart. Just looking at it, I couldn't tell what it was, aside from the fact it was a portrait of a woman. Yep. I knew those brushstrokes, though. They were very distinctly George's. The woman depicted had white hair. White hair? Like, why? Why would he do that? Is it like mocking Michel? Is it to be, did his mother ask him to paint that picture of, this is who you were. This is who you need to be. There was a flash, a fresh jolt of the pain that had nearly faded away. A half-dozen needles piercing my chest. So much blood had spilled from those gouges I had long since lost any sensation of pain. But now it was back. No, Georges, you didn't. My whole body froze. The blood in my veins came to a halt. I couldn't breathe. I was drowning in a pool of imaginary water. I crouched down to pick up the sheet of parchment. It was a letter in Mother's handwriting. The first line read, as it did in all of her correspondence. My beloved daughter, Michel, every day I pray your curse might be broken, but lately I have come to think that perhaps the reason you remained cursed is because you have forgotten what you are supposed to be. Yep, that's exactly what it is. So long you've spent in that accursed form, it is little surprise you would lose sight of yourself. How can you return to your true self if you do not even remember what that is? So I asked Georges to paint you a picture, hoping it might help break you free of your curse. You are a beautiful young woman, my dear Michel. I presume you have already seen the painting. It is lovely, wouldn't you agree? That flowing white hair and skin like glass, those deep, enchanting red eyes, those slender fingers and modest feminine frame, those soft lips. It is not you when you were younger, though. Instead, I had him imagine what you would look like now. That is what you will look like when your curse is broken. Isn't that wonderful? Imagine it. Envision yourself, your true self. Remember who you are. Recall your true self. I wait eagerly until the day you come back to me, and that's where the white hair girl came from, like the version that we saw in the doors. Looking as beautiful as you do in this painting, my dear sweet Michel, this is you. This is the real you. You were beautiful, my little girl, and I love you dearly. That awful fuss all those years ago. We can pretend none of that ever happened. Forget all about the dreadful thing that curse made you. Become the girl you used to be, the girl you were meant to be, so we can once more be a happy family. I'm waiting, forever waiting for you. The letter ended there, leaving me with the woman in the painting staring back at me, her eyes seeming to insist that I was not me, that she was the real me, and I was nothing more than a fraud, laughing at me, scoffing at me for ever thinking I was anything but female, mocking me for stubbornly insisting I wanted to be a man. The pain in my chest swelled, spilling from my mouth in grunts and moans. Ugh. And then... I screamed from the bottom of my lungs. Why? I yanked at my hair. Why, Georges? Slammed the painting against the floor. You said I could believe you. You swore to the god of art. So why? Why would you do this to me? You said yourself you didn't think I was cursed. You acknowledged me as your brother. You know this isn't me. So why? Why would you make this? I've been waiting for so long. I put my trust in you and died here. That's probably the moment where he was just like, they're never coming for me. I trusted you. I believed you'd always support me. Was that all a lie? Deep down, you really think I'm cursed, just like Mother. And that's why you haven't written to me. Why you haven't answered any of my letters. Where did my faith get me? Why did you even help me escape? Was it all for show? Was my execution just a lie? An excuse for you to send me somewhere far away? Well, was it? Tell me, Georges. Tell me the truth. What about you, dear? Where do you stand? No, this isn't real. My voice was getting hoarse. I didn't have the strength to hold it in, and everything came spilling out of me, squeezed out by the phantom water, and the white-haired girl in the painting just stared back at me, smiling. I bit down on my lip as hard as I could. A metallic taste spread through my mouth, drops of blood trickling to the floor. Pulling the knife I used to open the monthly deliveries from my waistband, I lifted it high into the air, gathering what remained of my strength. This isn't me, and slashed the woman's face with it. This isn't me. This isn't me. I am not this woman. I am a man. Carved into it. This is not how I look. With everything I had. Don't try to erase who I really am. Don't call me repulsive. Don't say I'm an abomination. I tore into that smile, contempt surging from every slash. This woman isn't real. I wanted to curse the whole damn world. Every last thing. This wretched mire that had become of my life. My brothers for happily going about their lives as I suffered here in the darkness. My delusional mother for refusing to acknowledge who I was. My father for trying to have me killed. Amy for making me realize I was a man, and then for torturing me for coming out about it. Everyone. I didn't care anymore. I wanted everyone who had ever wronged me to suffer the same way I had. And Morgana's like, ain't that a coinky-dink? I want that too. Maybe we can work together. This is it. This is the moment where Morgana finally makes her appearance. I can make that happen. A voice rang out. I can curse them for you, my dear. It was a woman's voice, muffled, like there were several walls between me and her. Who's there? I swiped up my candlestick, thrusting it forward to the sides, behind me. But there was no one else around. Give it a little thought. It's not that difficult. And when you figure it out, come to me. I have been waiting for so long for someone like you. Someone with such hatred for the world. How am I supposed to know who you are? How could you not, my dear? You visited me so many times, held me in your arms, whispered poor child into my ear again and again. What? No, that's not possible. I see. I finally truly lost my mind. If that's what you wish to believe, that's your choice. But the way I see it, if you had truly lost your mind, you wouldn't be in so much pain. The voice, still muffled and unclear, seemed to be coming from somewhere far away and very close by at the same time. Find your way to me and open the door once more. Let me out of my cage. Give me your hand. I knew in the back of my mind it was all absurd, but nonetheless I did as the voice said. I let myself be drawn in by the pleasant whispers. The archangel stood proudly upon his glass perch, looking down at me. His gaze almost seemed judgmental, but I marched for the tower unconcerned. For so long I've been waiting for the day I would be rid of this darkness, for the day someone would truly set me free. When you arrived at this house, I felt the hands of fate at work, that you were led here, that you were meant to come to this place. You've been through so much to get here. I know your pain. I know how it feels to be locked up, to be tortured and used for others' gain. You were the only one to ever have pity for me, and I shall be the only one to have compassion for you. You are the only one to stay at my side, and I shall do the same for you. You can give me life again. You can resurrect me. Now, open the door, Michel. It felt like I was no longer in control of my own body. Her voice was tender in a way unlike either mother's or Amy's, enticingly so. Standing at the top of the observation tower, I pushed open the door. And the first thing I saw was the ray of light shining through the window. And nothing else. Thank you for opening the door. It was empty. The skeleton which had been sitting there as long as I'd been at this house had vanished without a trace. I spun around, my gaze darting back and forth across the chamber, but there was no one there. Only her voice whispering in my ear. You made this possible. You gave me the chance to have my revenge. Revenge? Now I can make those men suffer a hell even worse than the one they put me through. Constant, everlasting despair. Their flesh may turn to dust, but so long as their souls live on, their torture will know no end. Ha! Ha ha ha! Ha ha ha! The tenderness in her voice crumbled away, leaving only raw loathing behind. She then let out a half-muffled cackle. Who are you? Oh, you poor dear, they locked you up here without telling you whose house it was? You sad, pathetic thing. Though that's exactly the kind of person I needed. You're not the witch, are you? That I am. I am the cursed witch who loathes this puny, wretched world. Curses it. And my name is Morgana. Morgana. I assumed the witch was nothing but a legend. A tale. If you don't believe me, I'd be happy to show you. Let's see. I could place a curse on someone you have a grudge against. Drag them down into the dark abyss. You are the one who granted me freedom, after all. Sympathized with me. Pitied me. Appreciated me. You happily embraced my filthy corpse. Maybe that's why the father died, was because Michel put the curse on his father. And for that, I will grant you your wish. Wishes can come true, Michel. Much the same way I was able to come back to life. If you remain steadfast in your desires, they will become reality, for devotion and yearning are the fountain from which miracles spring. I cannot leave the mansion's grounds, but that is but a minor inconvenience. Tell me who you wish to curse, and I can lead them here. I can force the cross you were made to bear onto them. I believe in my power to perform miracles, because you made my miracle a reality. So tell me, my dear, who will be first? Your second brother who made that ridiculous painting? Georges. Shall we kill him? He deserves at least that. He brought you more than enough pain. But if you'd rather, you could curse your mother instead, or the woman who set you on this path. Or perhaps you'd prefer your father. With him gone, you could return home. Ask, and I will perform a miracle for you. I didn't think she was lying either. As ridiculous as the whole affair sounded, the skeleton had disappeared from the tower, and I was hearing a disembodied voice. But beyond that, the voice seemed to have a sort of magnetism to it. Magic truly did exist in the world, and her words were laced with it. There was a power in her voice, something that repelled any instinct I might have to doubt the things she said. So I, on the verge of losing my grasp on reason altogether, believed every word the witch said. I wanted to curse them. To curse my brothers, mother, father, Amy, and the witch was saying I could do precisely that. What will it be, my dear? There's no price. I don't require a sacrifice or a dark ritual to perform my magic. I simply wish to show my gratitude. I want you to have that which you desire. Unless it's something positive, like having love in his life, then Morgana's not about that life. Who do you want to curse? The witch's sweet whispers hung in the air for a brief moment before wisping away. All the muscles in my body tensed up. I felt woozy, like the floor was wobbling beneath me. It took everything I had not to fall over. Who did I want to curse? Oh, and you're welcome to choose more than one. All of them, even. Of course Morgana wants that. She wants suffering. She wants revenge. She seems to just, like, feed off of it. I could curse them, and the witch would kill my family. I would be free. No one would know I had been born female. Why don't you become the new head of the estate? Who would I curse? Who would I kill? Dear, George's, mother, father, Amy? All of them? They had exiled me to this place. Have your revenge. A black butterfly fluttered across the room's single shaft of light. As I stared absently up at it, dozens of memories, of emotions flashed through my mind. But at the end of the day, we're family. We can get past anything, and it's the fact that he didn't do it. I'm not saying he should have, but I feel like his family betrayed him and killed him. If he had taken them out, he would have been able to go back home. Once again, not saying that it was, you know, for Michel to show compassion. That's not a wrong thing for him to do. It just shows that, like, you know, the way that actions can have consequences. With enough time, everything will go back to the way it was before, just like it did for myself and George. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe his family had nothing to do with his murder, and I'm assuming. And it's all just one big misunderstanding. That seems to be what this whole story is about, is misunderstandings and, like, not understanding people's motivations and thinking the worst. And maybe I'm guilty of that. I don't understand. Why would I think about them now? They've abandoned me, left me in that room for 2 years, and then left me here for 8 more. They don't care whether I'm alive or dead. So why should I? Why should I? Have you made up your mind? I have. Then tell me, my dear, who will it be? Who will you curse? No one. Morgana's like, I'm very disappointed. I cannot curse anyone, Morgana. Surely you jest. I know just how much you wish to see them dead. I felt all of your hatred, your despair, and you mean to tell me you can't curse them? It struck me just now that I can't do that to family. I cannot curse my own family. Amy's not family. Take her out at least, that bitch. This is the family that cast you aside, labeled you cursed, made you suffer for years, and then locked you away in this remote mansion. And they don't feel even the slightest bit remorseful about any of it. I understand that. I know that they don't give me the same weight to their words as I do. I figured that out long ago. I know I'm alone in my prayers, but they don't want the same things I do. But I trusted them more than they ever deserved. So why then can you not curse them? Because I don't want to hate them. I don't want to bring them suffering. On the contrary, I want them to be happy. That's why Michelle's a better person than I am, perhaps. In this situation, I'd be like, I'd be thinking about it. I'd probably be thinking about it. Don't know if I go through with it, but I'd think about it. You have no place in that happiness, though. It is a happiness that rests upon your misfortune. Why then should you not drag them down so you can find respite for yourself? I would find no respite by cursing them. How can you be so sure of that, my dear? I most certainly found a great deal of it myself. You're trying to follow your conscience, I can see that, but that good is superficial, and all it does is shackle you. Remove the shackles, and everything will be so much easier. Nothing you say can convince me to kill my family. Why not someone who isn't family, then? Surely you can think of at least one person you'd like to see dead. Oh, I most certainly can. I could kill her a dozen times and it wouldn't be enough, yeah, Amy. But just because I would be happy with her death doesn't mean that there aren't people who would be sad to lose her. Remove any one person from that group, and the whole thing could come crashing down, all because I couldn't restrain my own hatred. Your concern for them will devour you. Don't think I'm not aware of that. You aren't. You don't know that at all. The only reason you give them any consideration is because deep down, you still have hope. But hope has a way of forsaking those who give it a home. You have a problem, and you need to take care of it before it kills you. You and I, we were cut from the same cloth. While you may still care for your family now, in time, you will come to curse them. Consider that a warning, Michel. Your hatred, your curse, is what brought me back to life, and there's no getting around that. We do have plenty of time, though. No need to rush to a decision. I'll show you what it is you truly desire deep, deep down, and I'll show you again and again until you finally acknowledge it. A black butterfly hovering by the window disappeared, and the witch's voice grew distant, overwhelmed. I collapsed to the floor, unconscious. Had I really said what I did out of love for my family? Or was I just afraid of crossing that line? Was Morgana right? Is my heart now home to a terrible monster? If I actually had resurrected the witch with my hatred, maybe that was what I was now. Darkness seeped down upon me once more. I was again encased in a pool of despair. Slowly, ever so slowly, it wore away at me, eroding me into nothing. If I didn't come up for air, I soon would take the witch's offer. Cackling like a demon, I would place a curse on someone. I would kill them. Reviving her was a mistake I never should have made, and not for the greater good or anything so noble. No, every time she spoke, a little bit more of my spirit died. From that day on, Morgana's voice became a constant fixture in my life. Curse them, kill them, curse them. She serenaded directly into my ear. No matter where I hid or how deep I put my fingers in my ears, her voice resounded directly into my head. Hearing an incessant stream of curses from a disembodied voice was so unreal, so unbelievable I felt as though I was being dragged away from the realm of humanity. There was an odd, unsettling magnetism in her voice, allowing her malevolence to seep into me. It was downright torturous. Curse them. Revile them. Do you really need to be in your right mind, honestly? Your fixation on holding on to your sanity is what's causing you so much anguish. Admit it. There's more darkness, more seething malice inside you than anyone else. That's why you were the one who resurrected me. Admit it. You do want to curse them, don't you? You do want to kill them, don't you? No, I don't. I don't want that at all. I've told you this already. You're so desperate to deny it, Michel. So you have the two sides. You got Morgana, who's like, you're deep down, like you're a person who has these dark thoughts and you want to curse people. And then you have Giselle coming in being like, you're a good person, Michel. And Morgana doesn't want that. He doesn't want that light coming in and turning him into like a person who doesn't have hate. You'd be able to maintain your calm if you were truly free of guilt. I do not wish to cure Didier, or George's, or mother, or father. I have no desire whatsoever to see them dead. Your constant babbling is messing with my head. Be honest with yourself, Michel. You do imagine what it would be like to hold their warm intestines on your hands, standing over their bodies. It's like intrusive thoughts. We all get those. No, I don't. That's not what I want. Don't lie, Michel. You climbed the tower. You opened the door. You sought me. No, I wasn't in control. No, Michel, you were. Enough. I'm done listening to you. Haha, now, don't take your anger out on inanimate objects, Michel. Do you even know where I am? Where are you? I'm standing behind you. In front of you. Now, I'm beside you. You're just playing around with me, Morgana, mocking me for your own amusement. Not at all, my dear. In fact, I consider you a close friend. Why would I mock someone who means so much to me? We are not close. You will come to understand in time that we are very much the same. And when you do, you'll also know I am the one person who truly understands you. Enough, enough, enough! Let it all go, Michel. Curse it all with me. Despise it, kill it, make it suffer, curse it. Please, just stop. And where might you be going, Michel? Wherever you run, I will always be by your side. Are you going to pray to God to exorcise me? Now that's quite amusing, considering I am the child of... I'm not trying to hurt you, Michel. On the contrary. Stop talking, please, just stop. I want to set you free from your misery. I can't take it anymore. Please just be quiet. Who's there? I am here to deliver your monthly package. Ah, I see. But, Michel? Is something the matter? I opened the door, and there stood a servant of the Bullinger estate. He seemed to be quite perturbed by the sight of me. I must have looked terrible. Morgana's voice, her words, zapped my spirit dry. A human, a normal person, not a witch or a spirit or a demon. I knew good and well that the servant would never do anything to help me. He wouldn't believe a word I said. But at that point, his humanity was enough for me to latch onto. Help me, please. Pardon? The witch, she talks to me. She never stops talking. I'm begging you, please get me out of here. I mean, Morgana does say that she, can't leave the mansion, so... I know it's not safe for Michel to be seen outside the mansion, but maybe he could even just take some walks around, the forest? Just to, calm his head a little bit. Let me go back home in your carriage. Please, let me go back. The witch's voice. It's killing me. It won't go away. I can't escape it. Please, I need your help. You've gone mad. What? You're crazy. Ugh, see, this is why I didn't want this job. Having to deliver supplies to this damned cursed mansion. Having to get anywhere near the Bullinger's youngest child. No. I'm perfectly sane. You sold your soul to the devil. Don't think I'm in the dark about that. No, I did no such thing. You're completely insane. No. I'm done with this damn job. It's not worth all the riches in the world. Not if it means I have to be around a lunatic like you for even a minute. Why? I am not crazy. I'm perfectly sane. I'm not mad. Michel, your mind is far, far from sound. I won't hear it. I'm not mad, damn it. I'm not insane. Hee hee. I won't hear it. The witch spent nearly every waking moment of every day at my side talking and talking and talking about how mean-spirited humans were, how ugly they were, an endless loop of vitriol. She never seemed to tire of it either. Every single day, on and on and on. She also made a point of reminding me about myself, everything I was trying to get away from. But as much as I fought to ignore her, to not let the things she said in, she slipped past every wall I put up, her every word warping me. There was no escape. Curse them, revile them, remember the things they did to you. Close your eyes and envision it. Remember the scorn in their eyes, the way their lips twisted as they laughed. You need only curse them, and you can wipe those reprehensible smirks out of existence. I'm serious. Please stop this, Morgana. Please stop talking to me. I'm begging you. I seriously can't take it anymore. Oh, now why would you say that, my dear? It's just the two of us in this gloomy old house. I don't see what's wrong with a little conversation. Your voice, everything you say, is eating away at me. I care for you, and everything I say is meant to help set you free. So I will continue saying it. You're allowed to hate the people who have wronged you. Plus, if he says that he's about to break, do you think she would stop now? If anything, she's like he's getting close to, finally doing what I want him to do. They don't deserve happiness. Someone who's always smiling for you is someone who's certain to betray you. Someone who values themselves above all will not hesitate to put others' lives on the line. Someone who covets wealth and power will sacrifice his friends and family to obtain it. These are the kinds of people you once surrounded yourself with. I've told you repeatedly, I will not curse anyone. Why must you be so stubborn, my dear? I could ask you the same. Why won't you just leave me be? Because I can't stand to see you like this. With one word, you could be free of your pain, but because you insist on shackling yourself to your idea of family, you're making yourself miserable. You're the same type of person, Michel. Type who has the right to curse others. Regardless of what kind of childhood you had, or how much hatred it instilled in you, Michel, you are a cursed man named after an angel. You need to realize how twisted you are, and soon. I am not twisted. Do you honestly still believe you're normal? Tell me, what's normal about someone who happily embraces a skeleton? Tell me, what's normal about someone who hacks away at a girl's face with a knife? You're not normal, and I will repeat it as many times as I have to. You need to accept that. Why must you hold so tight to your sanity? If you would just let go, you wouldn't have to suffer. No one's going to come and save you, my dear. The only thing that can save you anymore is your loathing. We are the same. I am nothing like you. I am not a witch. I'm not cursed. I'm human. I'm a human. Man? Yes, a man. With that body? Hee. Oh, my dear friend. Let me tell you something you should be quite pleased to hear. Do you know what some say about people like you? Those who are neither male nor female? That they are like unto God. Like unto God? Indeed, you should have been worshipped for your divinity, but instead your family cursed you. You are not human. From the second life was first breathed into you, your fate was decided. No, you're wrong. If I really were wrong, you would not be here now. You would be back home with your family. Perhaps you would have a pretty little wife, living a normal, happy life together, but you have long since strayed from that path. It's well out of sight now. I have not. I am human. I am a person, a normal person, the youngest son of the Bullinger estate. I am an ordinary man. No one, not a single person, believes me. Not even the witch who is willing to consider me human. Or not even the witch was willing to consider me human. Never mind my family. The archangel whose name I shared looked down on me. The witch tried to drag me into her world. My past constantly ate away at me. I had been imprisoned in this place for far too long. There was nothing I could do about my body. All of those things combined threatened to break me. See, if really wanted to be, like, to have Morgana grant a miracle or, like, a wish, it would be, like, you know, let people accept me for who I am. But of course Morgana can't grant wishes that are positive. Only curses. Because she's a witch, right? I let out a scream, then stumbled out of the room in a frenzy. I had to get out of this place. It didn't matter anymore that I was forbidden from leaving the property. I just wanted all of it out of sight. If they wouldn't let me come home, then I would run away. It was all I could do. I wanted to get myself anywhere that might have even the tiniest bit of light to share with me. I was desperate. Someone, anyone, please, tell me I'm human. Tell me I'm a man. Anyone. Please tell me I'm not cursed. But when I opened the front door, searing light pierced my eyes. The world quickly went white. I couldn't see a thing. Well, I guess that answers the question of why he didn't just, like, leave the mansion. And then... Ugh! My arm began to burn beneath the sun. Oh, yeah, right, I forgot that he's got the, sensitivity to the sun. Ugh! Black smoke rose from the sizzling flesh. A sickening stench filled the air. Ugh! Excruciating pain quickly spread to the rest of my body. Why am I mean, we have seen Michel leave before, right? Like, he left to go to the, that cabin where the guy was, like, keeping an eye on him. So he is capable, but right now he's probably in such a state that he truly believes, like, he can't leave. Water. I slammed the door shut, restoring darkness. Like, does he truly, like, is he really, like, being literally burned from the sun, or has he just kind of temporarily lost his mind in believing that? Gasping and groaning, I trudged back into the house in search of water, which I'm sure the witch Morgana observed with a great deal of pity. I don't think you're in need of water. Take another look at yourself. Ah. With what little light managed to worm its way into the corridors to guide me, I dragged myself to the chapel, stopping beneath the pale light shining through the stained glass window. Ah, how? I wasn't burned. In fact, my skin hadn't even turned the slightest bit pink. There was nothing wrong with me as far as I could see. Where had that pain come from, then? And the distant stench of burning flesh. This is your doing, isn't it, Morgana? I know what you're experiencing. It's happened to me, too. Sometimes, enough emotional distress and despair can cause physical pain. The mind and body are much more tightly linked than you think, and your mind is far more damaged than you know. You poor, poor thing. You have my sympathy, my dear. You said, little child, or you sad little child, collapsed on the floor in front of the multicolored window. I felt like the whole world was closing in on me, or perhaps metamorphosizing around me. I was completely and utterly cornered, and there was no getting around that, which left me with only one option: to stop fighting and accept the harsh reality before me. It would make everything so much easier. The whole world said there was something wrong with me, and I was the only one who tried to deny it. So in the world's eyes, that meant there was something wrong with me. I was abnormal. I was irregular. I was mad. I was cursed. I was not human. I was not a man. I'm not human or male. Maybe I should just call myself a witch. I did, however, remain firm in my refusal to curse anyone, unwilling to give up that last piece of my humanity. Everything else I let go of, which took a great deal of weight off me. I stopped caring, and I stopped thinking. I stopped wanting someone to accept me, and I stopped wanting to run away. Sunlight no longer caused me agonizing, unseen burns, but in exchange I became emotionally empty. I discarded my faith and my hope, building a shell of cynicism and closing myself within it. And in time, that became my normal. I began to believe it is what I wanted. Tranquility filled my days. Time trudged onward at an almost imperceptible pace. The witch's whispers no longer caused me aggravation. Alright, what did I miss that there? Backlog. Okay, essentially nothing of note happened over the next 2 years. At one point, a man with an unusual disease stumbled across the mansion while wandering through the forest, but there's little more to be said about that. For nothing at all could have convinced me to care about someone else. I spent much of my time sitting before the fireplace. I had covered the stained glass window with drapes, loath to even think about that damned archangel. Staring at the dancing flames, I was able to forget the passage of time, watching unblinking as the red and orange tongues flicked back and forth. They seemed to spread outward from the fireplace, consuming me. Whether by the raging infernos of hell or the cleansing fires of purgatory, the thought of being swallowed up and burned to ashes by a massive conflagration was quite pleasant. But those visions never became reality. Tell me, Michel, what are you thinking right now? Do you still not want to curse them? Look at yourself, Michel. Look at how you're living. Do you really want this life? Have you ever thought about dying? Michel, would you like to die? Hee hee, that's the right answer. God has said that taking one's own life is a sin after all. That's good, Michel. You've made the right decision. And I shall be there with you until the very end, my dear friend. Honestly, part of me did desire death. I just didn't have enough energy to take my own life. My mind and spirit were too far decayed. However, in my 10th year, there's that hopeful music! This is when Giselle's gonna show up. The door opened once more, and time spurted back into motion. When you showed up, Giselle, everything I'd given up on, and everything I thought I'd lost, it all came back. At first, as you know quite well, I was deeply mistrustful of you. I hated having you around. But if I hadn't met you, in all likelihood, I probably would have continued down that path and become a demon. Oh, it's good to see her again. I really want to believe that that Giselle that we saw, who called Michel disgusting, was like a manifestation of like Morgana. Like, is making Giselle say those things, or isn't Giselle at all. I really want to believe Giselle would love Michel no matter what. You seem to me like a rather handsome man. I think I get what you're trying to say, but my mental image of a witch is definitely more a woman. So you're not a witch. Wow, right there she just said about, like, you're a man, not a woman. Like just accepted him, or even unknowingly. Right there, like, what's the word I'm thinking of? It, like, validated him for who he believed himself to be. To tell you the truth, I didn't know who might be here, which had me rather scared. But I think I can make this work. It's a pleasure to meet you, Master. After taking care of Giselle, I returned to my room. I was, to be quite honest, dumbfounded, and it was naturally the witch who stoked the fire of my apprehension. Why would you let that woman stay here? She came from the Bollinger estate, and we both know how you feel about your family. Chase her out. Wow, it's just like, I mean, I guess it shouldn't be surprising that Morgana was, like, sowing the seeds of distrust that, I mean, not that Michel needed much help with that. Give her a little scare and she'll be gone within the day. If you'd rather not, I could always frighten her in your place. A rattling window here, a couple broken glasses there. Small things like that to accentuate the eerie atmosphere. Are you going to say anything? Why do you care about her at all? Oh, now don't be like that. I live here too, so why shouldn't I care? And I am not fond of noisy people. Or sprightly women like that one. That's something we can both agree on, isn't it? You don't like that woman, do you? The more a person smiles, the less you can trust them. Though I hardly have to tell you that, do I? Stop talking. Now, that's not very polite. It's nice to know that, like, in the end, it was her smile that he loved the most, even when he said, like, you can't trust smiling people. This is a family matter. It is none of your concern. I was merely offering to help rid you of a pest. I don't need your help. I will get rid of that woman when I'm ready. But first, I will find out what secrets she's keeping. Then I will go back to living in peace. Hee hee, very well then. That pest has no place in your sweet solitude. The world before you now is so much kinder, so much warmer than the one you used to know. Well, good luck then, and if you need a helping hand, don't hesitate to ask. Oh, and by the way, what now? You've changed, my dear. Hee hee, I like you so much better like this. I always hated how much you reeked of human. You were blessed with a body like unto God. You were personally created by his hands. I could only dream of having what you have, but you only wanted to deny it. Now, though, you act the part much better. A saint resurrected by the closest living thing to God. Perhaps this too could be considered a miracle. Hee hee hee. Morgana, yes? You are a deranged, delusional woman. Why, thank you. Giselle was a woman who smiled a great deal. Her jade eye seemed to glimmer every time she made a new face. And the more she smiled, the more vibrantly she spoke, the more suspicious I became. I couldn't trust someone who smiled that much, especially not a woman. And the way she kept trying to get friendly with me didn't help that impression at all. I had a hard time believing she honestly wanted to get to know me. Well, the last time he thought that with Amy, he got burned pretty bad. I couldn't help but think she was trying to fish for information. Anyone who tried to get close to me had to have some ulterior motive, like Amy, who had only done so to satisfy Mother. Perhaps my mistrust could have been considered paranoia, but even 10 years later, flashes of that nightmare would still come back to me from time to time. It would take more than a few attempts at being nice for me to trust this stranger. Eventually, I came to the realization that she was hiding something, and I convinced myself it was out of guilt. So I wrote Mother in search of something I could use to tear her down, to get her out of here. I should have listened to Giselle rather than Mother or the witch. but I had conflated her with Amy in my mind, so I was unable to see where the truth really lay. I was only able to perceive her as malicious. So instead of her, I put my faith in Mother's words, despite Mother never once doing the same for me. My beloved daughter, Michel, I deeply regret having to put you in this situation. I never wanted to let that woman get anywhere near you. She is a witch. A terrible, sinful witch. A dreadful, tainted woman. She lay with my husband. With your father. She is a lowly merchant girl who wormed her way into our family, so she could exploit your father for money. She committed a grievous sin. A sin of adultery. I tried to have her executed, but your father wouldn't allow it. That seems to be the family thing, isn't it? So instead he had her banished to atone for her sins, unaware that you already live there. And I could not tell him either, for that is mine and your brother's secret. I pray you can find it in your heart to forgive your mother for her failings. Forgive me for delivering a witch to you. I would not be surprised if she tried snooping around. She is a ruthless fiend who will do anything for money. Should word of your curse happen to spread, it would surely draw unwanted attention from the church. We have no allies except each other. Michel, with this letter, I have included a knife. The blade has been blessed with holy water, which should allow it to eradicate the corrupt, evil soul of the witch. I ask of you, with all my heart, to send that awful creature back to hell. It was storming that night, erratic claps of thunder ripping through the sky. Giselle let out a panicked scream, shoving me back, and the look in her eyes kicked into motion emotions I thought I'd lost. I knew that face. I knew that scream, because that face had once been mine. I had screamed with that same utter despair at the world. Back to the way things were. Yes, finally, it's quiet again. I'm honestly surprised she stayed as long as she did. In a way, her tenacity is rather impressive. Not many would persist for so long in the face of such obvious disinterest. But you know no one would try to get friendly with you without good reason. Information about you carries considerable weight outside these walls. The look on her face, then, was that really just her putting on an act because I revealed her scheming? If you think she was afraid of you, you're mistaken. That's how people behave when their sins are brought to light. She was screaming, though, and she looked genuinely terrified when she knocked my hand away. You're not going to let a woman's scream cloud your judgment, are you? A woman can make a weapon out of anything. Tears, a smile, fear. The day she arrived, you recognized her smile as fake. So surely you aren't going to fall for this. I'm not falling for anything. I just feel like I know that frenzied panic. Something doesn't add up. Just nothing, my dear. In fact, what perplexes me is why you didn't simply kill her when you had the chance. Are you afraid of the sight of blood? The blood of your tormentors has no more worth than that of a wild boar. You should have sliced her throat without a second thought. Although, I suppose that would have made quite the mess. Now that makes more sense. You were not afraid of hurting her. You merely didn't want the burden of having to clean up afterward. How very like you. Be quiet. Oh, come now. That woman's finally gone, and it's back to just the two of us. And you don't want to talk? Silence, please. As you wish. I will celebrate your accomplishment in silence, my dearest friend. I imagine she's out there, half buried in the cold earth by now. I get chills every time I consider where I would be if I'd done as Mother said. If I'd killed you, or if out there in the forest, you had succumbed to the unforgiving weather. Life had never given me much in the way of good fortune, but you coming back, you being alive, was absolutely a blessing. I'm done. I can't take it. I'm through with this whole world. You don't have any idea what I went through there. How hard it was just to keep myself together. Giselle, I do understand. I know very well how difficult, how painful it can be for no one to believe you, for no one to accept you. I know far too well what it's like to want to scream, that you're done with this whole damn world, and it's because of that that I want to believe that Giselle doesn't think of Michel as disgusting. I truly do. That day, for the first time, we saw past the surface. We got to know each other as people. It was nothing more than a single small step, but for us it was like we had moved a mountain. I still remember how the light felt, as it shone through the windows we opened together. It didn't burn, and while this might sound melodramatic, I feel safe in saying it was probably the gentlest light I had ever felt in my life. Following my reconciliation with Giselle, I started turning back into my old self. Well, I suppose that's not quite correct. I felt a comfort and peace with myself that I never had before. That may have been the first time I was really human. Having someone else around began to feel normal. It was something I was certain I would never have. It was incredible. Though to someone else, our time together may have seemed frivolous and empty. Our conversations meaningless chatter. I'd never thought the day would come when someone would laugh at something I said, when someone would smile at the sight of me. However trivial, seeing Giselle smile made me happy. Oh darn it, where did you get off to? Aren't you here? Are you in the vase? It's all the racket. Is something the matter? Ah, master. Yes, a cat. Huh? A cat? A naughty little cat's been sneaking into the cellar the past few days, so I'm trying to catch him. If you happen to come across him, don't let him get away. Right. And what will you do once you've caught him? Well, I don't want to punish him. That would be mean. If he insists on coming back, I think I'll take him in and teach him how to be a house cat. That's what they should have just done. They should have just lived in this mansion, the two of them with their little kitty cat, and just been happy. Instead, they had to reach out to the family that I'm sure betrayed them. You mean to keep him? Are you not fond of cats, master? I don't mind them, no. Then, there you have it. I hope he doesn't take too long to warm up to us. Maybe it'll help if you give him a name? Oh, a name. That's a great idea. What should we call him, then? You decide, master. Michelle's like, I'm no good at naming cats. I can't remember what he called the last one, where it was like such a literal name. You want me to pick a name? This is your house, after all, so it's only right you'd be the one to choose. I'm not sure I follow that reasoning. What does the cat look like? Aw. Well, he's wild, so he's dirty, I guess. And he's kind of got some spots here and there. Dirt spot. Ugly dirt spot. Is he ugly? I'd say so, yeah. Alright then. Ugly Speckles MK2. That's what it was, Ugly Speckles. He sounds like a robot MK2. Exterminate, exterminate. That's a name? Why on earth would you want to call something that? And what does MK2 even mean? Be quiet. It's on you if he runs away, master. My time with Giselle made a normal person out of me. Made me able to tell stupid jokes. To get frustrated or surprised or exasperated. I started showing actual emotion. Our silly, meaningless banter became something precious. My heart of stone began to soften. The world she created for me was what I had yearned for my whole life, having lost half of it imprisoned, and spent the other half playing an identity that conflicted with how I felt in my heart. It was the first time I genuinely felt like I was allowed to be myself. Yeesh, you're not a kid, so don't be picky. It's not good for you. You make a mockery of the culinary arts. I've heard quite enough, master. It sounds like I'm going to need to put your taste buds through some intense rehabilitation. How about this, master? Play a game against me. And of course, if you're open to it, it doesn't have to end there. We can continue getting to know each other for years to come. It's nice to have like this sweetness, you know, with all of the like traumatic experiences that he's dealt with, but then we also know that the sad part's coming up where he dies. Giselle, though I did my best not to show it, I think that I treasured our time together even more than you did. I'd latched onto it, desperately refusing to let go. I needed it, and I needed you. Are you listening, Morgana? I can hear you just fine, my dear. Now what brings you all the way up here? You know you can call me from anywhere in the house. My bonds to this tower have been broken. This is a conversation we can only have here, the place where we first met. It's time for us to part ways. My desires haven't changed since our first encounter. I wish to be a person. To be a man. Exactly. When I'm with Giselle, I am that. She makes me into the person I always wanted to be. And now you wish to be rid of me so you can complete your descent into the realm of the unclean. I do. Haha, you came all the way up here just to tell me that? A needless formality. I'm sorry, Michel, but we are kindred spirits, as much as you may want to deny it. You could be second to only God, yet you spurn his gift. I am nothing like you. I am a human, nothing more. I shall not condemn you for your unyielding resolve, but rather pity you for being so utterly blind. Allow me to make a prediction before I depart, Michel, cursed namesake of an archangel. You may think you're making some sort of progress, but the fact of the matter is you've gone nowhere. Will that smile of Giselle's be able to withstand your secret? You know better than anyone that no one can accept what you are, not even her. You will never be with anyone. I understand that. I want to believe that Giselle was like Morgana, like manipulated her or like created a fabrication of her, because be like, see, the one person you thought you could trust denied who you are. So let go of her, stay with me. No, Michel, you don't understand, but you will soon enough. What you have now is not true happiness. It's empty, naught but a masquerade. And when the night is over, the masks will come off. So what if it isn't permanent, isn't real? Does being ephemeral make it worthless? Why can I not want something that doesn't last forever? This is the first time I've ever found joy in life. Those moments of happiness only serve to worsen the lot. The sweeter the honey, the more you despair when the pot runs dry. Sooner or later, you will return to me, begging for my help, and I have every intention of giving it to you. I will not hold this over you either. She's like, aren't I gracious? Aren't I a good friend? For when you come to me, it will be in the time of your utmost despair, and when your little paradise finally comes crumbling down, you will become what I am. So I will take my leave from your side, in anticipation of that day. Until we meet again, my dear. Oh, hello, Master. I was just looking for you. I heated up some wine and thought you might... Is something the matter? No, I'm fine. Thank you. No, it's nothing. All I did was warm it over the fire. Are you sure nothing's the matter? I shouldn't be hearing the witch's voice anymore, so yes, I am fine. Oh, wow. That's wonderful news, Master. It is. Giselle seemed quite relieved when I informed her the witch would no longer be bothering me. I knew she didn't believe in the witch, but that wasn't what mattered. What did matter was that despite likely questioning my sanity when I had first told her about it, she hadn't tried to pull away. She treated me the same as before. She never stopped smiling, and that meant so much more than whether or not she believed in the witch. With Morgana's voice no longer constantly in my ears, my life started to feel like some approximation of normal. In fact, I would say I was probably happier than most. Nevertheless, I intended to keep a certain degree of distance between us, for what the witch had said rang truer than I wanted to admit. You will never be with anyone. Having been born into this body, that was my reality, and there was nothing I could do to change it. I'd come to accept that. Or so I thought. I wasn't going to covet what I couldn't have, but I had gotten a taste of that sweet happiness. I'd started to develop a great affection for that smile, and as much as I tried to tell myself I was just getting caught up in the moment, that the feelings would pass in time, I found myself unable to restrain the swelling of emotions within me. That day by the fireplace, I thought that all I wanted from you was friendship, to have you in my life, always nearby. I thought if we were simply friends, I would still be able to see that smile, even if you were to learn what I was. That if we were merely friends, you'd be able to accept that. So I'd keep these things I felt inside, at all costs. However, with each passing day, with each gentle smile, My affection for you swelled. It reached the point where, as hard as I tried to keep it contained, all it would take was the slightest nudge for it to come spilling out, and it made me desire what was out of reach. I was convinced I had changed, because this happiness had become my everyday. I had no right to any such thing, but I came to wish I could be the center of your life. I yearned for you, and I wanted you to yearn for me. And like the fool I am, I thought that with you, it might even be possible. Honestly, it's no trouble, I mean it. You just took me by surprise, that's all. I am pleased. It doesn't matter how it turns out. You drew it for me, Master. Whether it's good or bad is irrelevant. I would be happy with anything drawn for me by the man I love. That one word set me into motion, for I had long since fallen deeply, utterly in love with you, and there was no escaping that. Listen very carefully. I love you. I love you so much, it feels like my heart is going to explode. Nevertheless, there was also no escaping my past, what I was, knowing I could never truly be with you, that I could do nothing about this body. I pushed you away, but seeing all the color drain from your face, I knew I had to take that step. I thought maybe you could change my world, if you really did love me as much as you said. Together, we could change everything. We could walk a new path side by side, and so, I decided to trust my heart. I just love, like, she's literally got, like, snot running down her nose, and he just looks so unimpressed. I'm in heaven. I'm so happy I could cry. I, too, was elated. Giselle, I'm sure you thought I was a kind-hearted man, that my love for you was pure and chaste, and I wanted to be that for you. But beneath the surface lurked indecent desires. Despite saying I didn't want to hurt you, that just having you by my side was enough. My desire bubbled up at the warmth of your skin. I wanted to let that heat take over, to let my hands run free. I could feel it burning inside me. I longed for intimacy, not just emotionally, but physically. I wished I could lay you down on my bed and satisfy those desires. I wanted to make love to you. Unfortunately, that was not possible. I didn't have the ability. No matter how hard I try, my body lacks the capacity to be one with you. I can pray, and I can long, and I can wish all I want, but my body will never be what I want it to be. I am gray. Though I have always known my true color, I have no way of becoming it. My heart has always known what I am, but the world refuses to accept it. Every time I claim I'm normal, 5 say I'm an abomination. Would it really have been too much to ask for me to be born normal? To let me be who I truly am? Is that really so much to ask? Things began to change when I learned my father Antonin had passed away. Georges would, I assume, be preparing to take his place. And if what he said was true, then I would be welcomed back to the estate. This is what I wanted to get into. I want the truth. I want everything. Like, I want it all to come out. Who was the one who gave the order to kill? I wouldn't be surprised if it was both the brothers and the mother together. I would no longer be a demon child, but a member of the Bullinger family once more. Deep down, though, I couldn't completely believe it would actually happen. Maybe I'm lacking faith, but, like, the fact it was knights, Didier is the leader of the knights, and he's a knight for the church. Maybe deep down he had he had those true feelings about Michel, or maybe they festered over time. Maybe it changed once Georges realized he was actually going to be in charge and realized, oh, if Michel comes back, it's going to cause complications. After 11 years in exile, I had no idea how they felt about me anymore. Or maybe, like, maybe Michel sent that letter and, if Amy's still around, maybe she kind of, like, put the idea into George's head, like, he can't come back, or it can't come back, because that's what Amy believes, that Michel is. Will they even remember a promise they had made so long ago? Fear that they wouldn't threaten to consume me. But Giselle, as she often seemed to do, put my mind at ease. No matter where I go, you'll be there with me, Michel. It's true, I am nervous not knowing what the future holds. But not in a scared something bad might happen kind of way. It's just more of a jittery, excited anxiousness. I'm confident the two of us can overcome anything, no matter what obstacles may come our way. Together, we can create an even more wonderful future. Could I believe her? Could I have faith in her wonderful future? That she would always be there with me? That we would return to the estate and finally move on with our lives? That together we could create a future? No, that wasn't a question. I wanted to have faith. I wanted to believe as much as she did. I wanted to believe that even if I was gray, I could have a normal life together with her. She had rescued me from the depths of hell, and now I wanted to make her happy. After taking that step in our relationship, I made numerous attempts to reveal the truth about what I was, but every time I tried, a sharp pain gripped my chest and my words faded into nothing before they could reach my lips. I knew if our relationship were to continue, I would have to tell her eventually, but merely imagining her face twisted in disgust nearly crushed me. She was everything to me, and so as we prepared for our departure, I decided it was time to make some changes. It was time for me to break out of my rut. And what happened next depended largely on whether Mother and my brothers were willing to accept me as a man. The course my future took was in their hands, in their hearts. If they couldn't accept me, then I couldn't return home. I prayed from the bottom of my heart that things would turn out for the best, and my family would accept me for who I was, and that they would accept what I had with Giselle. I decided I would tell Giselle everything after I received their responses, and I hoped dearly she would join me wherever I ended up. I couldn't provide Giselle the same kind of happiness a normal man could, but if she and my family accepted me, I would do anything I could to build a happy family with her in my own way. And so, I sat down to write. Dear Mother, there is something I wish to tell you, something that means a great deal to me. So I ask of you, please hear me out. And I ask of you, please accept it. Mother, I no longer bear any resentment for my present lot in life. Nevertheless, I would ask of you to concede one thing, that I was never cursed. So, in the mother's eyes, this is like the ultimate betrayal is like, I'm still a man, also, I'm bringing home the woman that you called a witch, we are together, and you need to accept that. That I was always your son, that I am Michel, not Michel. I found someone whom I care for dearly, a woman, and I love her with all my heart. I would like to spend the rest of my life with her. I do not wish for much, simply to have a quiet life with her. To go through our days together, man and woman. That is the one thing I want. Mother, I know you're aware that my body is no longer female. I am a man. My heart is male, and I ask of you to please accept that. I have no grudge with you. In fact, I am incredibly grateful to you for bringing me into this world. With love, your dear son. But rather than a reply, I received a visit from knights ordered to kill me. Yep, here we go. Here we go. Michel, tell me, why do you think this is your fault? What is your curse? Your curse. It isn't just the color of your hair and eyes, is it? There's more to it, isn't there? There's something else, isn't there? Can you hear me, Morgana? Morgana, please say something. Morgana, your predictions, they were right. I was a fool. You can laugh at me all you want, so please say something. Death. Death to the unholy one. Death to the heretic. Death to the witch. Why won't you answer me, Morgana? Why can I not feel you there beside me? You said you would help me when I came for it. Well, here I am begging for your help. Please come back to me, just this once. And she did come back, but to Giselle. I know you're there somewhere. Before they break down the door, Michel, I'm all right. It's okay, Michel. I'm not scared. You're here with me, after all. I'm fine. It's all fine. So please hold me until it's all over. Please stay with me. Michel, my dear, why would you ever believe that fairy tale nonsense? Why would you ever think a wonderful future awaited you? Morgana, here you are now, wretched, pitiful. For that you have my sympathy. I will help you in your time of need. Finally, you speak. Michel, I can feel the despair emanating from you. You hate it. It kills you. This is how you're rewarded, for fighting to be yourself. You know exactly who sent those knights, don't you? They rejected you. Rejected what you are. Hey, Michel, are you alright? Your family, unable to accept your body and heart, branded you a heretic and turned you over to the church. Yes, they did. And did you hear what the knights were saying? They've even accused you of being a witch, taken my sins and placed them on you. Come back to me, Michel. You hate them, don't you? You wanted to curse them, don't you? You want to kill them, don't you? I shall grant you that wish. Out of your hatred and despair, I shall make my own wish. And that wish shall become a curse upon your family's wicked souls. You'll grant my wish then, Morgana. Yes, yes, absolutely. Tell me what it is you want, my poor little darling. And he said, protect Giselle. And she's like, that's not what I meant. Michel, let your contempt flow free. Give me the names of those you want cursed. I want you to protect her. Excuse me? If they find her, she could be accused of abetting a witch and executed as well. So please use your power to keep her safe. You said you would grant my wish, did you not? That was not the wish I was hoping for. I know, but that's the wish I want you to grant. Morgana, then offer me something in return. Such a disappointing wish will require a sacrifice. Step beyond that door, my dear, and witness ultimate despair. That was my plan anyway, so long as I'm considered a heretic and marked for death. My being alive puts Giselle in danger. Indeed it does, yet here you are shaking like a scared little child. Of course I'm scared. There isn't a single person who doesn't fear death. Please keep her safe. You're the only one who can help me, Morgana. You have my word. From this moment, I vow to protect her life. Thank you. Giselle, please hear me out, Giselle. I never thought anything good would become of my life. I never thought I'd find anyone who truly understood me, who'd be happy to have my love. And for that, I hated the world. I was in constant torment, living in the shadows. But then a single ray of light shone down on me. Michel, you, Giselle, you delivered me from the darkness. I'm scared, Giselle. I'm terrified. I used to think my life was meaningless, and it didn't matter if I lived or died. But now I can't stop shaking. That's perfectly normal. I'm scared to death too, but what scares me most is losing you. Michel, so please allow me to repay you. I said I would do anything for you, so let me do this. I haven't given you anything. I haven't done anything for you. So give me one final chance. Michel! Alright, I want to see what happened afterwards, like after he got killed. Because it just kind of like, they just dragged the body away and that was it. What are you doing? Get back in here, Michel. What? Why? The door? I can't open it. Michel, what did you do to the door? Come on, get back in here. I guess you really can perform miracles, Morgana. I don't want to lose you either. I know that, by doing this, I will bring you pain, Giselle. But I can't make you happy, no matter how hard I try. And I realize that now. Say something, Michel. You're out there, aren't you? Please, please don't do anything rash. They're going to kill you if you're out there. Giselle, the witch told me. What? That she would ensure your safety. Michel, she isn't real. There is no witch talking to you. It's all in your head. A figment of your imagination, created to alleviate your loneliness. Rest assured, she does not lie. Michel! I pray that someday she will be able to get past this, to move on with her life. She needs to know that that's what I want. I have to find the right words. I'm pathetic. My voice is so shaky. Please listen. You are a wonderful woman, Giselle. Spirited, true to yourself, deeply sympathetic. You're not to blame for how difficult your life has been. Most of the fault lies with me, and a bit of bad fortune. But that's all behind you now. Once this is over, you can start anew. What are you talking about? So survive, live a good, fulfilling life. Move past this. Live your life, and always love your family. I know you can do it. That is my wish for you. No, I don't want that. I want to be with you. No one else but you. I don't want to let you die. There it is. Death to the heretic. Death to the heretic. Death to the heretic. Get back in here, Michel. Open the door. If my choice is to live on without you, I'd rather... Your scars will heal. You'll find a nice man and have a wonderful family. Why? Because you have a good family. You have a mother and a sister who love you. If you were to be executed here with me, you would be marked a heretic as well, and your family would be condemned. I don't want anyone else to suffer that kind of disgrace, but I can't tell you any of that, because I don't want you looking into why I'm a heretic. So this is where we part ways, Giselle. Thank you, Giselle, for bringing light to my world. Don't say that. The year we shared together, and the months since our relationship blossomed, have been the brightest days of my life. But if there is a next life, I hope you don't mind if I pray we're able to meet again. And this time, that we can find each other once more, in another world. In a body that better suits me. Michel. Michel. Oh, shit! I bet that's died here. I thought I was prepared, that I was doing something good, because it called him by name, and nobody would call him that name, Michel, except his brother. That I was doing something good, something I could be proud of, that I would give my life for her with head held high. But it wasn't long before I realized what the witch had meant. What she'd warned me about, when she said ultimate despair waited beyond this door. Fuck, it is. I knew it was coming. I had a little bit of faith, maybe the witch, maybe Morgana was just like making it seem like, oh, your family betrayed you, but I mean, it could be nobody else. It is our holy duty as knights of the church to deliver punishment unto the heathen who made a pact with the devil. You are sentenced to death, your body to be hanged upon the cross for 3 days and 3 nights, wherein your unholy flesh shall be purified by the fires of heaven. Why? What are you doing here? I stared up at the night, eyes wide, for the voice from within the helm, "Die, dear," belonged to my elder brother. You shall now be executed. Do you have any final words? I knew well enough Mother was not in her right mind, and while her refusal to accept me had hurt, at the same time, I'd somewhat expected it. It made sense to me. In her madness, Mother had declared me a heretic and reported me to the church. But die, dear. Die, dear. Men wield swords and fight against dangerous enemies, and they do so to protect the weak, women, and children. I'm here to protect you and your mother. Damn. What a betrayal, man. What are you doing here? Why are you pointing your sword at me? Are you smiling behind that cold steel helm, frowning, or staring expressionlessly? Though your transformation was too much for Mother and Father to accept, with enough time everything will go back to the way it was before, just like it did for myself and George's. None of this is your fault. It was all unfortunate timing. You said that it would all go back to normal eventually. Can I trust that even if the whole world says I'm cursed, that you'll always be on my side, that you'll always be my brothers? Can I put my trust in you once more? Die, dear. George. You absolutely can, Michel. I swear to God on high. What changed? Was he lying that whole time, or did something change in that time? Did your vow have any meaning at all? I spent years here in this dark house, waiting, believing you'd come through for me. So why? Why are you standing there, a half-dozen knights at your back, saying I'm to be executed? Why? Die, dear. Do not cry. Don't you dare cry, Michel. You're standing here in front of this door as a man protecting the woman he loves. So you mustn't cry. Who is it you're sentencing to death? Michel Bollinger, or A demon child, naturally. Or a witch, perhaps. But why? If I'm not an angel sent from heaven, or a demon child, then what am I? What on earth am I? What are you? You're a Bullinger. You're our family. And that's all there is to it. I thought we were brothers. Our familial bonds have long since been severed, cursed witch. Now I see, Giselle. This world never had a place for me. I was never welcome here. Kill him. Like, I wonder if in 11 years was he just like, you know, maybe corrupted, not the right word, manipulated by the church. Brainwashed. Ugh, this is so fucking sad, man. So many blades pierced my flesh, dyed your sword in my chest, lances in my arms and shoulders, arrows in both my legs. I could hardly even tell what hurt anymore. But the pain from within was much clearer. My heart cracked audibly before shattering completely. Don't cry. Do not cry. Tears will only make me more pitiful. So don't you cry, Michel. Don't cry. Oh, he cried. I believed in you. Die, dear. Die, dear. When I was younger, I idolized you. Those broad shoulders, muscular arms, gentle eyes, everything you said. Your simple but pure desire to become a knight. I thought if I could be like you, I could be proud of who I was. Though that may have faded somewhat after being locked away for so long, my adoration for you never went away. I thought you, of everyone, would accept me for who I am. And I thought you would celebrate my relationship with Giselle. And you would put those big hands on my shoulders, a smile on your face, and say, I'm happy for you. That you would welcome her into the family. We can go on outings together on cloudy days, and maybe she could make something for us. She's a pretty good cook, after all. Torches would rifle through the basket before lunch, and Didier would scold him. I would be there watching, a proud smile on my face. As unlikely, as out of reach as I knew it was, I still dreamt of a life like that. I had the faintest hope. And when we saw each other again, that dream might come true. Didier, I put my faith in you. All right, well, man, oh man, that was another very emotional episode. I got a little choked up at the end. That encounter, the confrontation with Didier. It's like I feel like I saw it coming, but it still hit me all the same, I guess, just like with Michel. So yeah, we're gonna leave that there, and I don't know, where are we gonna go from here? That's kind of the end of Michel's story up until like the present time where he's now trying to find Giselle. I have faith. I know it's the whole thing about how she seemed to reject him. But I don't want to believe that. I feel like that was a trick of Morgana's, and then maybe if Michel sees through it and, you know, believes in Giselle, maybe that will be the good ending. Maybe they will be reunited in spirits and be able to be together. That's my hope anyway. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and stay tuned next week for part 18. Until then, bye.
Special shoutouts to my top tier patrons: Kaori Mikoto, Revealing Storm, Tequila Mockingbird, Jared Fan, Izzy Ibo, Asborn Kennedy, Harry Gazif, Icognito, Locus Corollas, Wu Sing Chrysalis, and Lumi Arclight.